Hey, what's up everybody? Jake here and welcome to the hobby and welcome to another episode of Off the Top. It is a super interesting time to be a collector right now because of a wide variety of reasons. One of the things that is currently making me the happiest is that a lot of sealed products is dropping, especially for the modern stuff. A lot of modern sealed products is dropping. If you want to buy a booster box of Chaos Rising, Perfect Order, or the latest set, Pitch Black, a lot of these booster boxes are getting a lot more affordable. Some people are saying that's a sign of the hobby going on a decline. I would say I disagree with that. I don't think it's a decline, especially since the prices were just absolutely egregious. You can go back and look at even older booster boxes. Most older booster boxes are still kind of like struggling to reach like $300. Some people will point out like an outlier like Fusion Strike or something like that. And there are outliers, but in general, even older booster boxes from 3-4 years ago are reaching like maybe like $300, $400 max. And people that were paying those prices for modern booster boxes from Mega Evolution Plus, I think they're way out of their leagues. Like that's so expensive. Like paying $250 for Pitch Black was just ridiculous. And I'm happy that the booster box prices are starting to reach a more normalized level. And I think it's a really interesting time because the Pokemon Company is still printing to demand. And what that means is that a lot of sealed products are going to continue to come out. And I do believe that modern booster boxes should be retail priced. Like I think that's the normal price they should be. Everyone should be able to get their hands on them. And I think that we're going to reach that point. Over the next couple of sets, prices for booster boxes are probably going to normalize at around $160 because people are going to realize it's not really that worth it to rip these booster boxes open, because most often than not, you're going to get burned. And that's the normal case. If you rip open a booster box, you're not going to make back the value of that booster box. And that's okay, because that's part of the experience of ripping open sealed products. So they should always be a little bit more on the affordable end because they were never long-term investable holds, especially immediately at release. You know, if you want to pick up like a Pitch Black booster box 3 or 4 years after its release and you think it's going to be a great hold long-term, far be it from me to stop you. That's a completely different story. But on release day, it's way too early. People gotta let some of these products really cook in the oven before they start to rise. So I think it's gonna be interesting because a lot of sealed products are gonna continue to get a lot cheaper for especially the modern set. And on the flip side of that coin is that a lot of older collection pieces or vintage products or graded Pokemon cards are still climbing. I made a post on my Instagram recently and it went a little bit viral. Shout out to Joe Jonas who actually liked my post, which basically I just said my collection is starting to reach closer and closer to $1 million. In fact, if I were to add and compile every single card that I own right now, every single product that I own, because I don't have every single card I own tracked on Collector. I just have like the larger items, the items that I want to maintain and keep a closer eyeballs on their prices, because I have binders full of loose cards, but I'm not currently tracking every single card inside my collection. If I were to add up and compile my whole entire collection, realistically, my whole entire collection is probably over $1 million, which is, that's just ridiculous. You know, I have $1 million trading card collection. I never thought that would actually happen. Like that was not the plan, the goal in any way, shape or form. The goal from when I started collecting in college all the way till after I got a job, got married, you know, whatever entails into the future, my goal with my collection was never to have like a super massive, like super expensive collection. That was never the goal. I absolutely wanted a prestigious collection. Some of my earlier goals on why I even wanted to collect was that I just thought it was super cool and to enjoy the display. I love the art of displaying collectibles. So when I see a piece of art or a piece of trading card that I think is super cool and I can see it fitting somewhere in my collection, I'm like, ooh, that's what really gets me excited. So when I started collecting, it was really just about like collecting it to display, because I just wanted to show it off because I thought it was super cool to be in the background. That was never the goal to be $1 million collection, but that's starting to become a reality. And the crazy thing is I'm not alone in this boat. I think if you've been collecting for a while, your collection is probably in the 6-figure, if not more. If you're someone that's a little bit younger or newer to the hobby, your collection might be like 10,000 plus, but you're getting up there. Like I don't think anyone who's been collecting for the last couple of years is seeing their collection value gone down. Like it's almost like impossible unless like you're, I don't know what you're collecting, like common coughings or something like that. And there's a bunch more signals to that. Some of the bigger signals is that currently for trading cards, TCG makes up 70% of all graded cards. Right now, roughly in the hobby, 2.5 million cards are being graded every single month. And basically, almost 2 million of that is TCG. 2 million cards, TCG specifically, Pokemon and One Piece are the big two right now, are getting graded. And Pokemon makes up a large chunk of that, although One Piece is catching up quite rapidly. But that's still well over a million Pokemon cards are being graded every single month. PSA had more people grading with them on just Wednesday, the first day of the National, than the whole entire weekend last year. That's how quickly the hobby is growing, that on day one of a convention, they are getting more people submitting cards to be graded than the whole entire weekend last year. The hobby is growing so rapidly. Like, calling it a doubling or a tripling, I think, is an understatement. I think realistically, we're seeing like a quadrupling or quintupling of the hobby's size. And the thing is, this is only really the beginning, which is kind of scary, because I think a lot of people have been talking about like, oh, like it's inflated, it's a bubble, it might pop any day now. And I'm certainly someone that's a little bit more on the cautious side. It's like, I think it could absolutely pop someday. But as of right now, the hobby is still garnering so much interest, and there's so much volume moving into it. Like, I really don't know what people are grading right now. When I look at my collection, realistically, every single month, I'm ripping open quite a few booster packs. I might have 2 or 3 cards that are worth grading. I don't know what people are grading right now. I have no idea. Are people just ripping and pulling SIRs left, right, and center? Because I don't have that many cards that need grading, especially at the current grading volume, grading prices, and grading time. Like, what cards are people grading right now that they're grading 2 million cards every single month? Are they grading like, are they just digging through their older binders and finding like any holographic reverses that has gone up in value? Because there's a ton of those. There's so many holographic reverses that were just a couple of dollars a couple of years ago and are now going for like $1,000 in a PSA 10. If you can find like a random holographic reverse Lugia, Gengar, Snorlax, Rayquaza from like an older set, like even like a Sun and Moon set, if it's holographic reverse, no one graded it. If you can somehow get that in PSA 10, it suddenly becomes like $1,000 card. It's like insanity, but like that's the volume right now. And I tell people this is that the money speaks for itself. I can say like, hey, PSA, I'm not really grading with them right now because there's just a lot of iffiness going on with them. And I'm doing my best to vote with my wallet. Like, if I enjoy a service, or I enjoy a product, or I enjoy a TCG, I try my best to support those. But it's very clear that people are voting with their wallet, going for where the money is. And people are going to grade with PSA rather than any other grader, regardless whether I say like, hey, it's good or bad that you grade with them. So the hobby is growing. There's this massive tide moving. Like, everyone wants to replicate lightning striking. Like, I can't complain about it because obviously I have $1 million collection. What am I supposed to say? Oh, you can't do that either. A lot of people are going to see that and say, yes, you know what, Jake? I see you right there. You bought a house selling off pieces of your collection. You're a millionaire now from Pokemon cards. I want that for my own family. I want to do that for myself. I want to build prosperity, and I'm not going to say no. Like, I can't say no. There are collectors out there that are much older than me that have built the same thing, like Leonhard or Pokerev or the Charizard Authority. All these guys that have been around older than me or longer than me, they have multi-million-dollar collection. So it's a trend. A lot of people that are younger than me, newer to the hobby than me, they're building up their collection the same way. And I'm not kicking the ladder. I'm not saying like, oh, you can't do this too. The trend is more likely than not, this is going to continue. Realistically, there are millions and millions and millions of people collecting all kinds of TCG. There's so many TCGs coming out right now. The Power World TCG just came out. The Naruto TCG is coming out next year. There's also the Cyberpunk TCG coming out later this year, and there's a bunch of other TCGs that I'm not even naming because there's so many more, but those are some of the big ones that I'm currently tracking. Riftbound is doing fantastic as well. Lorcana is a hit on its own right. And all of these TCGs are growing in the space, and the hobby is realistically growing. Will there be ebbs and flow? Absolutely. Will there be periods of downflow or downstream or decline? Absolutely. I do think that's most likely going to happen for modern sealed products. Like modern booster boxes of One Piece and Pokemon, they should be retail price. While we have like this weird pain point right now where it's really challenging to get anything because everyone is experiencing this mania, there's going to be price disruption. But in general, I do think modern steel products are going to go back to MSRP. But at the same time, if you're holding something older and something that's actually really rare, most likely it's going to appreciate over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, because all of the people that are collecting those cards right now, there's no world, I think, in 30 years where they just decide, oh yeah, I don't want these cards. So yes, there will probably be more people becoming millionaires from trading card collecting over the next 10, 20, 30 years. The trend is heading that way, and I just don't see or perceive a world where all of our consciousness on the hobby just disappear. Everyone who collects cards suddenly decide, you know what? I'm not interested in trading card collecting anymore. This is a well-established space now. 10 years ago, it was not well established, you know. TCG was a joke compared to sports cards. But look at us now. TCG makes up 70% of all graded cards. And sports is the baby in the community. So it's a very interesting time. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on the hobby, and I'll see you guys next week.